Thank you for joining us for the Springfield Business and Economic Review. I'm your host, Sarah Wolin with the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce. Today we have with us representatives from the MacArthur Boulevard Business Association. We have Dave with Lures Footwear Group, Glenn with Baskin-Robbins, and also Michelle Higginbotham with Coldwell Banker Commercial Realty. And we're glad to have them all here with us today. And I'm going to give each of them a chance to tell us a little bit about them, and then we'll dive right on into MacArthur Boulevard. So, Dave?
I'm Dave Sonner. Sarah, I own Lures Footwear Group, which is a combination of, 4 stores: Springfield, Peoria, Galesburg, Bloomington. Actually, we have 2 stores in Springfield. We also own Soccer Plus, which is a soccer dealer.
Okay.
We've been on MacArthur Boulevard with our main flagship store for 50 years.
Wow.
On the same corner. It's always been our best store. It's a great neighborhood. We date back in the Springfield community for years and years and years. I took the liberty of bringing a page of history from one of our ledger books, which you see the transaction halfway down, of a pair of kids' shoes to Abraham Lincoln.
How amazing. What a rich history.
1850. So Lures has been in the community a long time. We've been on the corner of MacArthur and Campbell for, again, 1959, almost 50 years.
Wow, that's wonderful.
We believe in the area, and we are excited to be there, and we'll be there forever.
Well, great. Thanks for being here today. And Michelle, how about you? You're in a little bit of a different position in regards to MacArthur. Share with us that.
Well, my interest is really twofold. On the business side, I'm involved in commercial real estate. As you mentioned, I work for Coldwell Banker Commercial, so I deal with local businesses very often, small to mid-sized businesses, and have an interest in helping to both attract and retain businesses to the MacArthur area. On the personal side, I'm a resident. My husband and I live just a couple blocks off of MacArthur Boulevard, and we know it's a great area to raise kids, great area for families. So again, I really have a personal interest in preserving the rich history of MacArthur and addressing some of these issues that have come before us lately.
And you don't have to go far to get shoes or
ice
ice cream. Glenn, how about you?
Hi. I've been on MacArthur Boulevard since 1974. The business opened up in November of 1970, and I bought it and moved down from Chicago in April of 74. And the store used to be at the corner of Ash and MacArthur. In 1983, we moved to the present building, and it's a community fixture, as everyone knows that shops or lives in MacArthur. It's a great business, and MacArthur has just been a fantastic street to do business on. We get a tremendous amount of customers from both sides of the street, and the commercial traffic on MacArthur is very, very good. I don't think many people realize that I believe MacArthur is the 4th most traveled street in the city of Springfield. Everyone thinks, the Veterans and Dirksen and all these, but we are number 4 in the city. There's a lot of traffic on MacArthur.
It really is a great street to drive down. It gets you to where you need to go, and lots of great shops and stores along the way for that. So that's wonderful. When I opened up, I said that this was the MacArthur Boulevard Business Association. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's brought you guys together, or what this MacArthur Boulevard Association is all about? Anyone?
For the longest time, again, we've been on MacArthur for a long time. We're a lot of different independent retail merchants, primarily retail. There's professional services and so forth. MacArthur, the actual corridor goes all the way from R.W. Troxel on South Grand over to Steak and Shake on Wabash. So when you say MacArthur Boulevard,
in the grandest of sense.
In the grandest of sense, it's quite a broad area. It's just quite a broad business district. And like any other, in my stores in other towns, like as in Peoria and Bloomington, we have merchants groups. And it seemed the time to do this with the MacArthur extension going down to 72. We thought, well, and various issues going on in the neighborhoods, we thought, let's get together, combine our resources. I mean, a group of voices is always better than one.
That's true.
And we've had fantastic success up to date. We have, I'm not sure how many members we have now. It's well over 70, I think, at this point. And neighborhood groups, and people are excited about MacArthur. They're excited about progress being made. Obviously, the street doesn't go without its problems. I'm not going to try to wish away or explain away some of the empty boxes and so forth. But there's a lot of development behind the scenes going on, both with the old Esquire property as well as the Kmart property, and things are exciting. Things are on the upswing, and the Merchants Group, or the Boulevard Association, is doing a lot of exciting things, which Michelle can tell us about because she's been involved with some. But we're doing good things, and people should be aware that there's a lot of great independent businesses in MacArthur that have been there and contribute a lot to the community. Mm-hmm. We, for instance, we sponsor ballet. We're sponsoring Romeo and Juliet next spring for the Springfield Ballet Company.
Wow.
And we're very active in the community, and we're dug in here, and MacArthur's a place to be dug in at.
That's a great point. Anything else to add on that from either of you?
Well, people should realize that, it's an older street, mm-hmm. but as Dave said, there's so many businesses that have been there for many years that people come back to, even if they've moved someplace else. And, Walgreens rebuilt their store on the corner at Ash Street. That, I believe, is the busiest Walgreens in the city of Springfield. I'm pretty sure I'm correct with that. Next door to me, the new restaurant opened up, Ross Isaac's, and he's doing very, very well. It's an upscale restaurant, and people were saying, oh, it shouldn't be on MacArthur. Well, he's doing great on MacArthur. He's been open 3 months. Tuesday night I was there, and without a reservation, they did not have a table at 6:30 for me to sit down. I had to eat dinner at the bar.
Great problem for him to have.
Exactly, and I was shocked when I walked in with someone else to have dinner there. But the Priority Care rebuilt their urgent care center, or what it's called Priority Care now. Mm-hmm. So we know there's a lot of business to be done on the street. We just have to get a few of the big boxes taken care of, and the people are working on that. It's not that we're just sitting not doing anything.
It really does sound like there's a lot of momentum in bringing together all of these small businesses and bringing together the residents. How about, Michelle, from your point as a resident to the neighborhood, what do you think about all of this?
Well, as a group, as a business association, we've been meeting now for about a year, although I still run into people, both residents and business owners, who don't know that we exist, or maybe they've heard of us, they mm-hmm. saw something in the paper, but they're not entirely sure what we do. And as Dave mentioned, I think we're reaching sort of a critical mass. We recently elected a new board of directors. We are doing well with our membership, and that just continues to increase. Glenn mentioned the Ross Isaac restaurant, which we're very excited to have in our neighborhood, and just recently we held an after-hours event and had well over 50 people who attended, primarily business owners and other interested parties from the MacArthur area. So we're really starting to draw some attention and some good publicity, I think, for the area. But you mentioned the residents in the area, and I am a neighbor. But of course, I know some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. I think one of the frustrations for many people that do live in the area is they drive by the empty Kmart, they drive by some of these buildings that have been sitting vacant for a while, and they're concerned that nothing is being done. And what they don't know is that our group and the Chamber and many other groups are very proactively trying to bring in mm-hmm. some new business. So one of the things that the new board of directors really wants to focus on is just publicizing some of these efforts and saying, hey, we are doing something, and stay tuned. There's big things in the works.
Well, that's great. What are some of those things that you guys, as you look forward throughout 2008, some of the things you're doing this year that other folks can look towards or look forward to seeing?
Well, this past year we did the Artists on MacArthur project, which I think was in the month of August, if I'm correct. Okay. I believe it was August. I may be wrong on that. But it started out as something very small. We didn't know how it was going to work. It was every Sunday, I believe. Mm-hmm.
4 weekends.
4 weeks in a row, and on Sunday in the Town and Country Shopping Center lot. And it just grew, and it was a great project. The last Sunday, we had rain on one Sunday. Couldn't do anything about that. A big downpour, if people were there remember. But we got up, I think, close to 15 artisans coming, probably maybe more than that, the last one. Over 20 was at the end. And they didn't want to stop after the 4th, but we only set it up for 4 weeks, and we're going to repeat that again in 2008. And,
well, that sounds great. Sounds like a great success where you're able to come together as businesses to bring more business and more traffic and more excitement to the street. Sounds like a great success.
Right. And you look at the success of the Holiday Walk in downtown Springfield, where It's a little early this year. We couldn't quite get ourselves cohesive enough to get together, but next year look for a concerted, perhaps not a holiday walk, but holiday
festivities.
Tradition or something.
Of some sort.
I mean, there's so much history on MacArthur with respect to old merchants and so forth. The building Glenn was in from the old days of Balestries and the old Tom Thumb Market down at the old island. I'm dating myself here, but there's a lot of tradition there. We're trying to bring that back together with respect to, and again, we're merchants primarily, so we're interested in showcasing our wares. We're proud of what we do and proud of what we sell, and that's any venue we can do that, we will do that.
Great. And he mentioned some of the past traditions and history. Michelle, what about some of the things you spoke kind of or alluded to bringing more businesses here? What are some of those steps that are happening behind the scenes, things that can be publicly shared?
Right. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Sarah, because that is, again, I think a common frustration is people don't feel like things are happening, or they might hear about a project and then they don't know what became of it. And unfortunately, in real estate, just as in banking or the legal profession, there are a lot of confidentiality issues and things that we can't discuss until everybody has signed on the dotted line.
Yeah.
But I know the Legacy Point project has been very well publicized in the paper and in other media. It's going to be an upscale shopping center, what's known as a lifestyle center, similar to what they have in Peoria and Bloomington. So we're very excited about that. There are plans in the works for the Esquire development. Again, I know that's been discussed off and on for a couple years, but I believe it is close to coming to fruition. And so
we're right there. You're really talking about both ends. With Legacy Point, you're talking about all the way out to the roads that aren't there yet, out by the
to where 72 will connect.
And then Esquire, you're talking more towards the South Grand MacArthur area, just for people who aren't familiar with it. So.
Right. So those will be great anchors. And the Kmart building, again, a source of frustration, and I know people drive by it all the time and wonder what's going on, but it is our understanding that there's a national tenant in the works for the Kmart building. And Dave mentioned the holidays. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the recent Design Ideas holiday sale in the former CVS building in the Town and Country Shopping Center. This was the second year that they've had it. Last year it was in Kmart, this year at the CVS, but both times a tremendous success, and they do that as a fundraiser to benefit local charities. So we really appreciate not only their commitment to those not-for-profit groups, but their commitment to MacArthur.
Because they've done this now for 2 years on MacArthur.
Yes.
Which also kind of is a testimonial, although not verbalized, that they had success there the first year, so they decided to come back to the area for the second year of that.
I mean, they could do it anywhere in the city.
Hopefully they'll do it the third.
We hope so too, but yes, we've been talking to the folks from Design Ideas and
Good.
expressed our appreciation, and we'll certainly work with them any way possible to ensure that that becomes an annual event and maybe tie into some other holiday events for the merchants. We'd love to see that.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that Dave has a business that people travel for. I have a business, I sell a lot of cakes, ice cream cakes out of my store. And it's not just in the neighborhood. We have people traveling 15, 20 miles to buy shoes, to buy an ice cream cake. It's a tradition. People, people that are 30, 40 years old that have children are coming back to buy shoes at Lures who grew up in the neighborhood that aren't maybe not living in the neighborhood now that are buying shoes. People with ice cream cakes, similar things. So we attract people from all over. And I think one of the things the MacArthur Association has to do, we have a lot of new people, of course, that move into any city. New people. Some people are moving into the Leland Grove area. Some people are moving into what I call the Blessed Sacrament, the Hawthorne Place area. A lot of people we know are moving far out west. I mean, the city boundaries have grown. I think, the new movie theater, the 12-plex, is 6-7 miles from MacArthur Boulevard. And I don't expect them every day to drive for an ice cream cone or a sundae to MacArthur Boulevard to make a 15-mile round trip. But we have to let people know that we're there. The businesses we have are viable, good businesses. And as we get more businesses and MacArthur goes through to 72, it's going to be only a busier street than it is. So as the projects develop and as we let the rest of the citizens that have moved in, in the last few years that aren't familiar with MacArthur Boulevard because they go a different route, I think things will get better on the street.
And that's even building the tradition, more or less,
correct,
for those folks for the future.
Right, and just to add on to Glenn's comments about businesses moving out west, I think that's something from a business perspective that we're really trying to address as an association. And right now we're working on a marketing campaign targeting not only developers maybe on a regional level, but also local businesses that may want to look at opening up a second location, or they're in the process of trying to relocate. Being in the commercial real estate business, I get a lot of phone calls from people that are looking for space for their business, and usually the first thing they ask about is somewhere out west. And when they really look at the statistics, they realize that they can have higher traffic counts at literally almost half the price of some of those west side locations. Right. And I think if we as an association did a better job of educating people about some of those options and showing them the comparisons, you know, how good our traffic counts are compared to the rest of the city and how affordable our real estate is, I think we'd see a lot more businesses taking a serious look at the MacArthur area.
A couple of follow-ups to that. If someone wanted more information, how do they get that? Where do they get that for traffic counts and pricing, and or what steps if they're interested in MacArthur? And the second question is, you threw out the word traffic counts. For those people who might not be familiar with that, what is that? And how does that play into whether a business wants to be there or not be there? Michelle?
Well, the traffic count is tracked by IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, and they do that, of course, statewide, but it just means literally how many cars pass by a given point at any particular time.
So when figuring more pass by, more would stop.
Exactly, exactly. The more visibility. If you've got a sign in front of your business, if you're trying to bring customers in, the law of averages is on your side.
That's a good thing to have.
The more cars you have. And to touch on your first question about how people get more information, one of the other things we as an association have done is to put together a website. It's www.shoponmacarthur.com.
Okay.
Now, it not only lists our members, but there is a section on the website that lists the available buildings along MacArthur. We're still tweaking that a little bit. We're trying to make it even more comprehensive, but we do have a list that kind of summarizes some of the available locations on MacArthur, and then there will also be contact information of the board members and people that they can follow up with for more information.
So internet access, and it's all at your fingertips.
Pretty much.
So that's great.
Pretty much.
That's great. Now, you've been a member of MacArthur. I know you've been serving on the board of the association. What makes you do that? Why do you want to do that? What I know you're busy. You have a small business. You have lots going on in your world. What motivates you to contribute time and efforts towards this?
Well, I mean, it's probably no different than what motivates me to take care of my house. I mean, well, I own property at MacArthur. So obviously it's my financial interest to do it. I'm not going to kid anyone here, but on the same token, as I've gotten involved with this association, and these are relationships I should have made years ago. And these are all people, neighbors I know and patronized, because I make it a point to. I think my mother is at Glenn's shop every day. I believe, in fact.
At least 5 days a week.
Supporting her habit of ice cream.
She has a butter pecan addiction.
And a sugar cone. With her senior discount.
But it's community. I mean, we are local businesses for the most part, and we would welcome national chains there. I mean, there's such a buzz about the Starbucks that perhaps may come to the corner of MacArthur and South Grand. I mean, people are beside themselves, and that's a national tenant. We mix well with them. In my centers in Peoria and Bloomington, I mix well with national tenants because I sell Stride Right shoes, which are a nationally advertised shoe. But we're community, and the more I get involved with the board, the more you realize these are good people trying to make a difference in the community. And they are the difference. If we make a difference, people's property values increase, whatever kind of crime issues recede. It's fundamentally a good thing to do.
Brings it all up. How about either of you?
Well, I'm also own the property on MacArthur Boulevard also, but I'm also a neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood, so it's two reasons. But I am not on the board. I'm an active member of the association. And I'm not on the board because I'm on a couple other boards, and I decided I cut myself too thin as it is.
It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah,
I've
learned to say no over the years very easily. But the idea of the association and being involved, I mean, even if I didn't own the property, I still care about my business. I have a viable business. I want that to be stay busy and one day sell to somebody who's going to keep the tradition of Baskin-Robbins on MacArthur, whole. So it's just something that we have a good core of business people on the street that are involved. I think every meeting has 30, 35, 40 people sometimes showing up. And besides business people, we have neighbors that are coming to the meetings too that are invited.
Lots of momentum, it sounds
right,
like.
absolutely. I think it's very good. I don't know if we even talked about it. The meetings are on the second Thursday morning of every month at 7:30 in the morning at the Red Cross building, which is on Outer Park, just west of MacArthur. And they're open to anybody that wants to come, any concerned citizen, as we say,
yes.
resident,
well,
business
owner.
Well,
what a great opportunity to learn more if someone has
right.
interest in it.
And the meetings simply don't become, I think some people with group meetings, having been living in a condo association boards and so forth, which are truly
interesting experience.
Yeah, they turn into gripe sessions. Our meetings, we're not without our problems. I mean, the street's not without its problems, which we really are actively addressing in a lot of ways, as we talked about. But the meetings are constructive. They don't become gripe sessions. They become people, at 7:30, that's a gripe session of my own for that hour.
Coffee's provided, though, right?
I'm a retailer. I always come with Starbucks this big. But they're constructive meetings. It's not neighborhood groups coming and say, well, my trash wasn't picked up or my yards. There are people getting together trying to constructively make a difference in the neighborhood and in the street, and people come with suggestions. And as we speak right now, I have a college intern working on a database we're building for the property inventory. And it will become a viable tool of what we do. On the way out, I spoke with one of the other board members about perhaps, TIF districts or other kinds of financing measures to make cosmetic improvements. We see a lot of cosmetic improvements downtown with TIF money, and boy, MacArthur could be the old-time MacArthur, the old-time street lights. I mean, we have such a vision here that we're excited about, and we really think we're onto a constructive way to get things done.
Yeah. And a lot of that requires that public-private partnership then, to bring in all of those other partners. I know it's my understanding you have been having some public involvement from elected officials and stuff coming to the meetings, Michelle.
We have. Our aldermen, Debbie Cimarosa and Mark Mahoney, who represent various parts of the area, are both active in the group, as is Jennifer Dillman, who's our new county board member. We've also been talking to officials from the city and the chamber, of course, and they recently arranged a meeting for us with a consultant from PGAV, which is a national consulting firm that's worked with the city of Springfield for, gosh, probably 20 or 30 years. PGAV was involved in the development of Legacy Point, and this time when the consultant came to town, he specifically focused on the MacArthur area, just driving around and then sitting down with some of our board members to discuss the challenges and issues facing MacArthur and just give us some advice on how to proceed. And one thing I'll say about the meetings for those people who aren't excited about the idea of a 7:30 a.m. meeting at the Red Cross building is that when it comes to membership, we are really, again, looking for that critical mass, and that becomes so important when we start working with some of these elected officials. We want to be able to say we represent X number of businesses, X number of residents along MacArthur. So we purposely tried to make the membership dues very nominal, very affordable, whether it's an individual or a small business. So participation in the meetings is not mandatory in the slightest.
And it sounds like it's still being beneficial to the group, just because when there are those advocacy times or to stay in the loop on what's going on with some of those issues, just so you're aware of it, what a great opportunity.
Right. People are certainly welcome to attend and contribute, but we don't want them to feel like they have to. They can still join the association and lobby with us. Without coming to
and something else that more of the community at large sometimes doesn't quite understand is that we're business people and city representatives, state representatives, whatever, but MacArthur Boulevard is also a state route. So we have the city of Springfield involved, we have the state of Illinois involved, we have the businesses involved. So you know, it'd be nice maybe if MacArthur wasn't a state boulevard, it would be easier to get things done, or if it wasn't a city boulevard, just talking, but we have to talk to both entities. And a lot of people that live in the neighborhood also don't understand that there's laws that grandfather clause businesses and signing, and so many things are involved where they think we can just change a law and say, you know, you can't have a broken window, you can't have a vacant lot, you can't rent to this kind of a business. And that's not true.
The world doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. And that's something that I see a lot at my store because I'm visible at the store, where people will come in and say, did you know what's going on there? And I said, yes. Well, I thought you can't do that anymore. I said, no, that's not against the law. Just something maybe we don't want to see, or but we have no control over who rents to who. So that's something very important that the community doesn't always understand how things work.
That's right. There's a lot of those type of things. And again, the more people are involved, whether they're coming to meetings or not, the more they'll have information at their fingertips so they can really start to understand some of those. Looking forward to the rest of 2008. Any other major things you'd like to touch on that you have going forward?
Well, I would really think that, you know, if we can get one of the two major locations, you know, as we talked about, the Kmart or Esquire, just not even breaking ground, just know it's happening.
A hope for the future.
If it's a positive, something comes out of one of those two locations, this is definitely happening. 2008, early 2009. I mean, Legacy Point, they've been talking about for 3 years, and it's not going to happen until 2009, you know, whatever. But I think that will give a good shot in the arm. You know, we don't have that many small businesses, empty businesses out there. It's the big boxes that are hurting us more. But I think every small business would open up if we got a good, viable tenant or a nice, you know, development at the Esquire. So I think that's the biggest thing we'd like to see in 2008.
Any others?
Well, and building on Glenn's comments about the types of businesses that we don't want, again, I know that's been a lot of talk among the neighbors, and how do we get rid of some of these less desirable types of business. But I think we need to look at it from more of a positive stance. The more we bring in the upscale retail, the more we bring in the neighborhood businesses that we do want, the higher the rents are going to be, the better the image is going to be. And that in and of itself will take care of some of these other problems and negative perceptions. So we just really want to create the image of MacArthur as being friendly to business, easily accessible from all different parts of the community, and a desirable place to both live and to shop, and that's going to help a lot of our problems.
That sounds great. I appreciate you guys all coming here today. One more time, though, if someone's interested in membership or what you have going on with available properties, the website?
ShopOnMacArthur.com is the best place to go.
There you go. It's all at your fingertips, and you can get more information if you're interested in joining. I'd like to thank you for joining us here today for the Springfield Business and Economic Review. Again, I'm your host, Sarah Wolin. I hope you'll join us next time.